Welcome back to the Flying High on Consciousness podcast. This is Jill Alanna from Jai Incorporated, here for your victory. The intention of this podcast is to demystify the quantum, to start bridging the gap between science and spirituality, share stories for inspiration to prove what's possible when you do the quantum trauma healing and frequency coding work. I help you leverage the quantum to manifest your dreams, whether that's your dream relationship, your next level of abundance, or vital health. Through trauma transmutation, coding, and frequency, you can leverage the quantum to become an energetic match to anything and everything you desire. Use this podcast and the guests that I have on as proof of what happens when you do this inner and quantum energy work. Without further ado, let's go to the show.
Okay, say what you just said.
Okay. So one of the craziest things about taking this course was realizing that everything you absolutely do in life, you're constantly manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And even reading, there's a book, The Biblical Foundations of Freedom. And what it teaches you is how demons manifest through the way you talk. And then you also consciously manifest through the way you talk.
Words are spells.
And then, exactly, which are spells, right? And so really understanding this, it's crazy to think how there's certain things in my life that I've manifested from just having thoughts. Like I remember this one time I was thinking, I was like, I saw this beautiful East Indian wedding. And I was like, I could partake in that. Like, it's just so beautiful the way the groom and the bride were dressed. And I was like, I could partake in that. And so that little seed, little did I know, would manifest into the future. And then later on, I met a girl at daycare, and I didn't know it was her daughter at the time, but her daughter had these little blue eyes. I'm newly single. I have my son. And I was like, oh man, you know what? She's like such an adorable little girl with these little blue eyes. And like Adam, I had this moment where I was like, you know what? I could have a little daughter with little blue eyes like that. Yeah. And little did I know, we end up dating later on in the future. She's East Indian and the little girl has little blue eyes. So that just like came into reality, but it was just like these little tiny thoughts.
Yeah.
And so before I took the course, so I just finished moving into the lake house here. And I remember I'm just like grinding away in real estate. We haven't really hit any big successes or anything. And I keep talking to people and they're like, yeah, I have my son, my daughter, my grandkid, whatever. They're in my house. And they're just a pain in the ass. They're not paying their rent. They're not looking after the place. They're a lump on the log. They're not doing anything with their lives. And the trouble is they feel bad to kick them out because their rent is so low and they know they can't afford rent anywhere else. And in that moment, I was just thinking, I was like, oh man, if my parents ever had the opportunity for me to live into a house next door, live close to my parents and like have that kind of family unit, and I was just given an opportunity, I would work my ass off and I would run with it. Fast forward until basically January, my parents bought a house, a lake house, and they have two properties on it. They have a guest house and they have that house. So me and my son, we moved back home, and my dad kept being like, move back home, move back home, move back home. And I was like, I don't know if I want to leave British Columbia. It's really beautiful out here. Yeah. But then it was like the family ties that really brought me back. The community ties that Manitoba has that I just wasn't finding in Vancouver brought me back. And so I was living with my parents for a little bit and helping them do all the yard and then get this thing winterized so me and my son can live here in the winter. My dad's like, well, we'll give you reasonable rent. Why don't you rent it from us? They're okay with the Airbnb kind of thing, but like by the end of the summer, they're kind of getting sick of it. So then now I have a house me and my son live in, and my parents are like, yeah, we don't care how long you live here or whatever. So I was like, sick. Now I got a home base with me and my son close to my parents. If I got to travel to Florida, I can travel to Florida. My son can just run next door. Or now we're building a sales team out in Colombia, which is like kind of another dream, another manifestation that I had a long time ago, was like living with your crew, making money with your crew, and just having a mansion that we all occupy. So that is coming in the woodworks, and that's going to realize. in the next couple weeks as we prepare to send our team down to Colombia.
Okay. Let's start streaming. Can you retell that story when we're streaming? So fucking good. I got it recorded, but I'm like, I wanted to stop you, but then I didn't want. So we'll have this too.
Yes.
Okay. So
let's stream. Give like a little introduction, kind of back and forth.
And manifested a house. Tell that India story too. That's fucking cool. I didn't know about that.
Right? There's like. And like, I'm becoming so aware of what I say. And I love when people are in my life that tell me, like, for instance, today, when you said need, you picked out need. I was totally unconscious I even said that.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Okay, we have to stream that too. I got it, Chance. So I'm going to introduce you, talk about how you manifested a house and how you manifest $150,000. You scaled to $150,000 a month using like the quantum tools, mixed with taking action in 3D. And then we'll just story tell for a bit. And then we'll talk about some keys. We'll give them value through keys, like the need thing or whatnot. And we can talk about the people in our vortex of how they like affect each other so much, and we'll riff. Cool?
Cool.
Okay, I'm going to start streaming on here, and then I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Yes.
I'll do it maybe from this side. It's my bad side, but I mean,
your bad side.
Let's not say bad side, but whatever. Well, maybe here. Maybe actually, is this okay?
Jill, you're great. You look great. You're fine. All right.
This is more comfortable. Okay, cool. So I'm going to stream it on here. Okay. Hang on. I just learned to do this. Getting so good at technology.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Words are spells, man. Words are spells. Okay, so scaling.
I'm so happy to hear that out of you, because I just remember when you were just freaking out about some of your technological attempts.
Oh, right.
Your earlier attempts, the earlier days.
How do you spell quantum? Quantum?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna download a little quantum puppy here.
Awesome.
He's gonna
go live. Okay.
Yeah, since we've moved, he's been really extra attached.
Okay, we're going live. We're almost there. Hi, Facebook fam. Okay, we are live. I'm here with my friend Chance, who took one of my quantum manifestation courses. We're just going to go live on Instagram, and then we'll get to this podcast celebration. Okay. Hang on. We're learning technology here. We are learning technology.
Jill's constantly improving at technology. I love it.
I fixed a TV yesterday. I fixed the sound, and I literally asked the divine, I'm like, guide me. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it literally guided me exactly to how to fix it. And I'm like, I am getting so good at technology, because words, as we were just talking about, are spells.
It was like my mom. She gave me a Bowflex exercise bike and said it didn't work. And then I got it working. And she's like, what? How'd you get it working? I was like, Mom, I took the batteries out of the bottom of the faceplate and I put new batteries in and it works completely fine. And she's like, what? We did that.
Quantum manifestation at its finest. Okay, cool. We're going to go live here. Can you request to join?
Join from where?
On Instagram.
Oh, sure. Here.
Hang on. I'm just going to stop this and restart on Instagram. Facebook fam, we love you. Thanks for your patience.
Oh my goodness. I am so excited to announce that my signature program, Decoding Manifestation, is now open. If you've been inspired by the stories on here from that program and have the intention to create your dream life by leveraging the quantum, this is the most powerful manifestation course on the market, because I not only teach the exact blueprint that I've used to help hundreds of people manifest miracles, But I also give you the tools, the quantum activations, the shamanic breath work, and the RRT clearings, so that your frequency raises and your manifestations become a byproduct of who you be. So you're not in that chasing energy, but by who you be, they literally become a byproduct. It is a full toolbox to understand manifestation, the formula, and to actually become the embodied energetic match to your desires instead of just understanding how it works in theory. The doors close for this round on October 31st. So if you are interested in joining this program that is like no other on the market, ask anyone who's taken my course. I will see you inside of Decoding Manifestation. The link is in the show notes, and I'll see you there, beautiful soul.
Welcome, welcome, Chance. Okay, so today, guys, I'm so excited. We are talking about, well, many manifestations Chance has created using the tools from one of my programs. And is it echoing a lot?
Now it's echoing on my side.
Okay, yes, it's okay, that's better. Okay, amazing. Rachel, hello. He manifested a freaking house, and he manifested $150,000 USD month. So like celebrating him. We're gonna talk some stories today, and then we're gonna go into some intricacies of manifestation and bridging the 3D and the 5D. Chance is like such a good example, of devotion and like actually using the tools. It's still echoing. Is this better?
I've moved my phone and my computer way far away from each other, so
I muted my computer.
Then you know what? I'll do the same.
Can you mute your computer? Is this better, guys?
All right, and I'll listen to you through here.
Okay. It's not echoing for me anymore. Is it echoing on here? Yes, no, maybe so.
All right.
Okay, sick. Awesome. I hope this is working on Facebook. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, if you guys can't hear us on Facebook, please let me know. I'm not going to mess around with the tech anymore. So if you can't hear us on Facebook, I love you. And you can read what it says, and you can also watch the replay. Okay, so it's better again. Oh, learning all the tech stuff, fixing tech, computers, TVs, all the things. Words are spells. Say that you're learning, not that you suck at it. Because I used to say I sucked at it, and boy, did that manifest in 3D. Okay, so celebrating Chance, like literally killing it. He is the epitome of devotion. He took my Surrendering into Abundance course, which is a manifestation course specifically on abundance, and he did the work. I saw him like completely transform. Firstly, like, you look like a different person. I don't know how many times you did the shamanic breath work and the activations and the journaling and the transmissions, but like, holy Toledo, you've shifted like in 3D, like your appearance, your essence, how you show up. And then obviously the manifestations came as a byproduct of who you be, of your energy, of your frequency. So let's just celebrate you. I'd love to hear the stories. I've heard some of them, but I'm excited to hear them again in more detail. And then we'll talk a little bit about like bridge, like how we can take the quantum work and what the things, like the actions we need to actually do in order to recalibrate in terms of like the shamanic breath work or the trauma healing or the activations, and also taking action in 3D. And like, do you want to just share your quote about your feet?
Yeah. And well, before we do that, I'll just say, you know, you're doing really well if you ever hear Jill say "Holy Toledo." Let's just start there. She says "Holy Toledo," you know you're doing something right. But yeah, one of the biggest things is in one of the other conversations Jill and I had is it's not just saying what you want in life, it's voting with your feet. And what I mean by that is everyone can go and vote for any government parliament you want. You can go vote and scratch X or this. But the thing is to vote with your feet, because say if you're not happy where you are in life, you're not happy with your environment, you're not happy with the dictatorship that's going on, well, going and checking a box isn't just going to do it. So if you really don't like it, then pick up your 2 feet and go and move somewhere else. And then this also comes in play with real life. It's like, well, if you tell someone, hey, I'm setting a boundary, you can't be in my life anymore, you no longer can exist, just sending a simple text message is just not enough, and constantly replying or fighting or sending energy in that direction.
Yeah.
So you got to vote with your feet. You got to completely just cut that person out, move on what's aligned. And either the person now is in a fork in the road, either they're going to move their feet to move with your feet and change, or you just no longer can exist in that realm and you'll no longer have those problems anymore. So that's what I mean. So if we ever say vote with your feet, that's what we mean.
100%. And it's like, it's another example of this. Like, I love the one you shared is like, say somebody wants like a sacred relationship, but then they're like going and like sleeping around or whatever. Like, I've seen so many girls do this, and I'm like, there is no room to have a sacred monogamous relationship because you have all this like leaky energy. And it's like, well, they're like, well, when I have the relationship, and it's like, no, you need to become that version of yourself, that iteration of yourself. You're not a match for it. And like, it's not good or bad, like zero judgment, but like, these are the things that it's like, okay, actually, this is my intention. This is where I'm going. How do I become a match to it? Or for like money, it's like, okay, I desire abundance. I desire to hit this like goal, this next level. Okay, who do I need to become? And this is what like the activations help you with. And like the journaling questions, like they go deep, because it's like, you can't be, for example, an energetic match to abundance if you're stingy. You just can't. You're not a match to it. So like, really looking at these things of like, okay, where is my energy not a match, not a calibration to like what I desire, whether that's, or like health. Okay, like I had this analogy, and I hope this doesn't trigger anybody, but it's just it came through so strong. It's like somebody who's like very obese and they're eating like chips every night and like a cake and like not exercise. And they're like, oh, I'm going to like visualize being like super fit and all the things, but I'm still going to have a cake every night and chips and not nourish my body and not work out. And it's like, okay, well, we live on a 3D plane. So like visualization, super potent and powerful. But if you don't take the action in 3D, if you don't vote with your feet and be like, okay, like I'm going to start, this is it, line in the sand. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to work out. Like, then you're not a match to that version of yourself. So it works in any which way. It's like, this is where I see a lot of people try and spiritually bypass. They're like, well, I'm like visualizing this and I'm saying the mantras, and it's like, yes. And are you actually doing the work? Are you actually doing the activations? Are you actually, because this work works. Like you guys have seen, I haven't streamed a lot of podcasts, but like go to my podcast, Flying High on Consciousness. This work works if you actually use the tools. And like, I'm so excited to have you here because like you fucking, I mean, I hope I can swear on here. You use the tools, like, I don't want to say more than anybody I've seen, but like you're one of the people who has used them maybe more than anybody I've seen, actually. Let's be honest. Like you used to make fun of me and you thought this was all BS. And then you did the shamanic breathwork and like you were in. And I have just like, I am mind blown about how much I've seen you transform and your life transform. And it's just like, whoa, it's amazing. So anyways, do you want to share, just share one of your stories first. And then I'd love if you could share like some intricacies and some things that you spoke or chose with your feet that really shifted you to become a match to like 150,000 USD a month. or you to become a match to manifesting the house, or you to become a match to whatever other things you want to share?
Absolutely. I would love to share, Jill.
Awesome. Thanks.
So anyways, just the really cool thing about this course and learning the energetics, because I would say naturally I'm drawn to the 3D and I'm pretty good at the 3D, figuring that out, the planning, the taking action. You give me a systematic thing, I will follow it biblically and make it happen. So when I took Jill's course, and I usually take one course at a time, I go really in depth with it. So when I took Jill's course, I really went in depth. And so the one thing that really opened up my eyes is that we're always manifesting, no matter what. Whatever comes out of your mouth, whatever images come in your mind, whatever shitty things you say or good things you say, you are constantly manifesting. And so I really became aware of it. And so like I want to tell you a story. So there was a long time ago, I was in Winnipeg and I was hanging out at the Assiniboine Park. And so beautiful sunny day, and they had the nice structure, the nice building there, and there was an East Indian wedding going on, and the groom and the bride dressed so beautifully. And I'm normally used to the white and the black and the tux. And don't get me wrong, that stuff's nice, but just the way they're dressed, she was all gemmed out and everything. And I was like, out of tradition, I was like, I could see myself having an East Indian wedding because they're just like that beautiful. And so that was just like a little thought, forgot about it, threw it out into the ethers, didn't know it would even be a manifestation or anything. And then later on, I had a son. I have an 11-year-old right now, but he was really, really young. He's in daycare at this time. And me and his mother split up. And he really got along with this little girl, the biggest, cutest, bluest eyes you could ever imagine in a little girl, just a little doll. And she was really fond of me, and she would come up to me and kind of like chat with me, and she's really smart. And I had this moment, this fatherly moment of being like, oh, you know what? I could have a daughter kind of like that. And then lo and behold, her mother's East Indian. And then me and her ended up dating later on in life. And I just kind of put the pieces together, and like without any skills or any conscious effort, that just manifested its way into life. And then another example is, so now I'm living in a lake house, 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom lake house right next to my parents. It's an amazing setup. The lake is literally 40 feet that way. And anyways, I just remember in real estate, just pounding out calls before we hit any like really big success. And there was, for whatever reason, this one month, I kept stumbling across the same story. It was a dad, it was a grandpa, it was someone that owned a house, and their children, grandchildren, whatever, are living in the house, not doing shit, not really pushing forward in life, and paying really cheap rent, and becoming a headache and a burden to the father or the grandpa. But the thing is, they don't have the heart to kick their family member out. And then if they were to kick them out, this kid is just basically abusing this privilege of living there for cheap and not moving forward in life. And they can't ever move out of that situation. So both people are kind of stuck. And I had a moment of thought, and I was like, man, if my parents were ever in the position where they had a house, I could live next door, me and my son, we could run across and have that kind of family bond. And, I could get like a cheaper rent and have that situation. I would work my ass off. I would run with it and just stack cash and like really, really prepare myself for the next level. So fast forward into January, of course, you're always resistant when good things come to you. So my dad buys this property. It's got 2 houses on it. This one was only a 3-season. The other is a 4-season. And so my dad's like, Chance, I want you to consider coming back from British Columbia, beautiful British Columbia, to Manitoba. And I'm like, I don't know. These mountains and ocean are pretty sick out here. Coming back to the prairies. And then I thought about it more on like the family line and, what it is for my son. My son was really missing my parents. And then I was like, you know what? I will take that opportunity. I will run with that opportunity. So I came back, helped them all summer, winterized it. We're almost all winterized with the place right now. So now I have a lake house that I can stay at indefinitely. My son is grounded. We have a business in Florida, so I can go to Florida and take care of work out there. And now another dream. This is coming from my young pickup days when I used to go around and chase women and was distracted. I do not recommend that, by the way. Get your shit together first. But anyways, it's cool because these guys, they got a mansion and they're partying, they're meeting all these young girls and stuff. And I was like, man, how cool would that be to have your team that you're making money with, doing whatever with, growing with, you're all in a mansion, you're all working together, you're all growing together. And because you're all putting everything together, you can have access to things you would never, ever dream you could have. Cars, houses, penthouses. So now our team is actually building this out, and we're going to be going to Colombia and building that out. And then Jill just told me she's going to be out in Colombia. So you're very welcome to come visit us anytime, Jill.
I will be there. It's so crazy. Medellin, like, it keeps coming into my vortex. And I had no idea you guys are like putting your team there. So that's freaking awesome. What are like the biggest things that shifted right before you got your $150,000 month in the business?
So,
because before, sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. I just want to make this point clear. Everything starts in the quantum, guys. Everything is a reflection of us. So we have to be the match to it. So like the reason I'm asking this is he had to become a new iteration of himself, and he did. And then it manifested in 3D. So I just want you to see like some of the intricacies so you can look at your own life and be like, okay, this is my intention. Where am I not a match, and what can I start to shift? Please continue. Thank you.
So yeah, so this goes really deep, and this is the true power of the work, because the thing about Jill's course is it's something you have to go over and over and over again, because the first run around, you clear the first layer off the onion, or maybe you take 3 layers off the onion the first time. And then you come around again and you're like, oh, I didn't even know this existed. So then you're going to take another haircut around the onion. And then you keep going until eventually you find the point. And then it hurts so much that it just can no longer exist. And as long as you can live in that pain, the pain and the fear, as long as you can go through that, you will come out on the other side. And like a lot of people are going to be like, I'm stuck. I'm blind. Why don't I see this? Why is this going on in my life right now? And it's because you're running from the very thing you need to run to and run through it.
Yes, you need to transmute it. So sometimes like the things that had been buried so deep, the traumas, the distortions, the data blips that have been holding you back, they will come up in this process because they're ready to be transmuted. And that's exactly what needs to be transmuted. Like, I can tell you for myself, in all areas of my life, right before the biggest breakthroughs have been the biggest challenges, or like, it's like grief will come up, or sadness. And then it's like, you're working through another frequency bandwidth. And as soon as you just transmute that energy, everything shifts in your life. But it's always been there. It's been running the show unconsciously for so long. And this is exactly why a lot of people don't want to do this work, because even I see this before sessions, people will be like so into it. And then right before the session, they'll freak out because their subconscious is like, oh, that doesn't feel safe. That up level doesn't feel safe. I'm going to have to feel my trauma. Like, you have to feel it to heal on a deep, deep, deep level, no matter what modality. Like, I've studied 12 modalities now, and every single one, the deepest healings happen as you feel it and transmute that energy, because that energy, it's like siphoning energies from past traumas, past memories. And like, even in RRT, which is like one of the most recent modalities I've studied, there is a way where you can not have the feeling anymore, but the deeper healings happens in a different pathway of that, where you're going back and you're still feeling it and transmuting it. And that becomes a current of energy. Emotion stuck in the body, which is the unconscious mind, is emotion, energy and motion. As you liberate that energy, you siphon energy from it, it becomes a current of energy, a currency. And our frequency is our currency. So as this energy is released, it becomes your frequency. And if you're looking to make more money, more abundance, have more resources, have better friendships, more friendships that are aligned, then that energy needs to be released. That's why it's currency, a current of energy. Etymology. There's so many codes in etymology. So like, this is what I see when I see people who are like, I mean, I'm so excited for you to take Decoding Manifestation. So Chance took Serenity into Abundance, which is my abundance course, which is actually a smaller course than Decoding Manifestation. But I had a girl, Alyssa, she's on my podcast. If you don't know it, it's the link in bio on Instagram, Flying High in Consciousness. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're listening to my podcast, well, you're already there. But go back to the one with Alyssa. She had not tried manifestation stuff for like years. And she's like, I've taken so many courses and so many trainings or whatever, but like things aren't manifesting. And it's because this is the missing key that a lot of courses don't have. They don't have the trauma healing. They don't have the energy transmissions. They don't have the activations. They don't have the shamanic breath work. You got to clear that gunk up. You have to liberate those traumas in order to have space for the codes to be guided to the manifestation. Laura says, I've certainly experienced that before this session. Response, very important to know for people. Yeah, it's like before energy healing or like deep trauma stuff, people are like freaking out. It happens to me too, guys. I went to deep healing like a couple months ago. I guess it was like a month and a half ago. And my unconscious was like every single excuse happened. And even in the quantum, there's these things called frequency guards, and they don't want you to hit the next bandwidth because they're siphoning energy from you. Just going to say it as it is. And so when you're in the lower emotions of lust, like Chance said, like chasing girls or whatever, like lust is one of the lowest frequencies, and it controls people. It controls so many people. It indoctrinates people in the movies and all the things. And then there's like shame and guilt, and then fear, and you kind of go up from there. Anger is actually on the way to love and bliss and ecstasy, and these high frequencies where you can manifest at the speed of light because they're closer to the 0 point. I have a video on 0 point. You can go on my Instagram. It's going to be on the podcast soon as well, to kind of explain like what that means. But the closer you are to the 0 point, the quicker your manifestations happen. That's it. You have to be at a very high frequency in order for that to happen. And the only way to get to high frequency is to clear the trauma. There is no way to bypass it. So like that event that I went to was like all of these like thought patterns of like, oh, I shouldn't go, blah, blah, blah. And I like invested a fair amount in this event. And I'm like, I already knew these sabotage patterns that people experience. So I'm like, my will was stronger than the pattern. But like, had I not known that, oh my God, like I wouldn't have gone. And then there was all these challenges like that started happening in 3D. Those are the frequency guards from like that, from the other realms that are trying to keep me at a lower frequency so they can siphon energy. And after that event, it was like really deep stuff came up. For like a week and a half, I was crying like every day. I'm like, what is this? But I already knew what it was. And like so much shifted after, like so much shifted. And regardless of everything that shifted in my life and my business and all the things, like I feel different. I feel so much lighter. And like at the end of the day, guys, like manifestations are cool. And I love the magic, and I have synchronicities every single day. And like, I'm sure you do too. I mean, you've told me about a lot. But like this work, the best part of this work is truly how you feel. It's how you experience life. It's the friendships, it's the relationships that you have that are on a deeper level. And like that's better than any amount of money. That's better than anything like physical object in the 3D. And we can have all that stuff too. We can have the money, we can have like the car, we can have the whatever, but like at the end of the day, the experience of life when you do this work, like words can't even explain. I just wanted a little transmission there. Thanks for listening. What's your experience with that? What is your experience with Chance, with just like how do you feel much different than before starting this work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go back to your previous question before.
Oh yeah,
like,
please do.
What happened before the $150,000? So when I was doing the course, Jill gets you to write out, and she gets you to do it in a specific way. It's very important how you write it out. So she gives you these special tools on how you're going to set this desire that you want into the quantum. So whatever, $150,000 seems like quite the stretch at the time. And then from there, it just begins to work. Things begin to happen in your life. Lessons and loops begin to happen. And every time you get this lesson's going to come as a tribulation. This lesson's going to come as a trigger. This lesson's going to come as a fight. This lesson's going to come as something. And then you're at the fork of the road, almost like the fork of the road the Bible talks about. Do you take the wide path or do you take the narrow path? Do you take the wide path of lust and drinking and alcohol and weed? Or do you take the narrow path where you're like, no, I'm going to do the hard thing. I'm going to go through the challenge. I'm going to go through the fear. I'm going to go through this. And then on the other side is the next gem on towards your manifestation. So I set this manifestation for 150,000. Now, did I feel different on the other side? Well, absolutely, because I did learn the things that were preventing my currency, my flow, was my emotions. I ran from my emotions. I didn't handle my emotions. In fact, I learned that I bottled up 8 heartbreaks with women that I was with that I just never went through, and a piece of my soul was attached to them, and they filled a piece of me in different ways. Some lust, some love, some futuristic, some just idealistic, just all these little things. So I was attached to these women and draining my energy through this and not even knowing it until I went and cut it in one of Jill's breathworks. And that was a painful ass breathwork. So before the $150,000 came along, I had to deal with the breakup with my son's mother and that whole situation, because I've been raising my son on my own for the last 7 or 8 years now. And that was a pretty traumatic experience for me. And because I'm always on the go, providing, looking after my son, getting him where he's got to go, I didn't get that time for myself to heal that. And then in amongst with vibrating at the level of lust, always having new women in my life. So I never got the alone time to really deal with it. So actually, one of the things I said in my manifestations, I was like, I will go as far as not watching porn, not ejaculating, not having sex, not masturbating, not anything sexual at all. So I went on like a real serious binge of celibacy. And for any men that are watching this, you do semen retention, that shit will get you like Super Saiyan level. Like your manifestations will become so, it almost feels like you literally have a rocket behind you and you're forced to go through any emotions that you're running from. Literally you have the spiritual and energetic power to go through that. So when you say something now, it has a ton of weight and a ton of power behind it, because all that pressure is built up. And because you're not letting the pressure out, it has to go up. And so it pushes you closer to God. It pushes you closer to the infinite intelligence. But the way to get to God and the infinite intelligence is, again, allowing your emotions to flow, going through the currency, and the currency of your emotions then translate into the currency of the 3D world. And money is just a representation of that. Your physical body and how you look is a representation of this. So
100%.
I went through 8 breakups. I went through the healing of my son and my son's mother.
Can I just say one thing about the 8 breakups? And correct me if I'm wrong, just so for everybody's clarity. Yeah, right, Laura, such good lessons in this. Thanks for being open, she said, and sharing this. The 8 breakups were like breakups he had been through, but he hadn't processed the trauma. So they were moments stuck in time. And these women were siphoning energy from his field because a part of him was still connected to them. So that was like a lot of the stuff he had to, am I saying this correctly? You didn't actually go through 8 physical breakups, did you?
No. It wasn't 8 physical breakups. It was like I broke up with, so like, for instance, like my son's mother was one. There was a girl before her. There was another one after her. And it was just like, because I kept jumping from relationship or girl to girl for a while in a timeline, is I never emotionally became available. I never emotionally dealt with that. So in my onion, they became different spots in my onion that I had to peel back, go back in time, which is interesting because I went back emotionally. I went back in time sexually. I went back in time in so many different ways and thoughts and forms I almost wanted to act at times how I would have acted and decided at a 20-year-old, because the growth had stopped at that point in time until I released it. And then it's almost like you go back in time, release the point, and then you come back to the present with all this new intelligence and downloaded information. And like, there's days where I took the entire day off just to recover, just to go through what I had to go. Like it was not easy at all. And then it was really, I think the most interesting part was we had this $150,000 floating in the ethers. Deals are closed, the money's sitting there. And part of the manifestation you will learn is, okay, you have to go manifest it. You have to go work for it. You have to go clear the energy out of it. And then you have to create a flow for that money to come to you. And then you have to create a container to house the container. Well, in order for this money to exist in our realm, we had to figure out the US banking, because we're Canadians doing real estate in the States. So figuring out the US banking and getting the proper bank account so we can then expand and get the proper credit, the proper lines of credits, get the proper bank people so we can make different asks to the bank for getting properties in the future. So to figure that all out, that's our container that we're building. And then the other thing is, once you have your container for the money to come in, well, you better have a plan, because the natural state of the universe is chaos. So that 150 G's could come in and leave just as quickly if you're not telling it where it needs to go to expand and make more.
Okay. Let's talk about this for a second, because this is gold. And one thing that you said earlier was like, triggers are gold. Gold, dig your triggers, guys. Triggers are gold. I literally have, I mean, there's a whole module in decoding manifestation. If you're not registered for my free masterclass, manifestation codes, on September 13th, get your butt there, because some of you guys are like, I want to manifest and blah, 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 but like, I can't afford it, which is like just an excuse, by the way. You're infinitely abundant, but you have no excuse because it's fucking free. Okay. So get your butt there. The link's in the bio. And actually the activation from Gold Dig Your Triggers, this is like one of my, like a potent activation. You can get that separate. I think it's $111 in my link tree. DM me if you need to. But what you just said, he said so much gold. So like, if you need an energetic container, I just did a video, or I will be doing, I can't remember if I posted it, about Sarah, about she got the exact amount that she had intended. She already knew where it was going. If you don't know where it's going, if you don't have the container for it, it's really hard to call it in. These are like intricacies. And then also what you said, like so many people are like, I want $1 million, but they have no idea of where that money is going to go. Zamba, yes, it'll be saved. It'll also be in my podcast, Surrendering into Abundance. Thanks for your question. So if you don't know, like so many people are like, okay, I want this $1 million or 10K month. And it's like, okay, but where are you going to allocate that money? Because like the thing about money is, it's like, if you're like, I want to expand my business and hire all these employees, but like, I don't know what to tell them to do. I'm just going to hire them and say, we need to expand the business. It's like, it's not going to do anything. So when people talk about let your money work for you, you need to give it a job. Every single dollar needs a job. You need to command it to where to go. Otherwise, it's a chaos. This is why when people win the lottery, so often they win the lottery and a year later, they've won like $15 million. They're broker than when they got it, because they don't know how to command their money. It's an energy game. Money is an energy game. Abundance is an energy game. Manifestation is an energy game. It's all a game of energy, and it can be fun, whether you're manifesting money or relationships or whatever the fuck you want. Like you can manifest anything. You guys are all so powerful. And my soul mission, literally, it's my name. Jill Alanna International means victory. And I got one of the best people in the world, if not the best, to read my spiritual name. And it's all about me becoming the victor and teaching other people to become the victor. I'll do a reel and I'll read that to you guys. And like Jai, I didn't even know that meant victory. It was a divine download. And so like, that is one of my soul missions, is to show you how powerful you are, because you are all so powerful. And I'm sorry, I hope this doesn't offend anybody. And I used to be a victim of life. I mean, even when I met Chance, I was like pretty.
Jill, I'm gonna stop you right there. I don't know if you should apologize anymore for triggering people, for offending people, because I think if you go out and you say something that triggers somebody that's watching, you literally just gave them a blessing, and it's up to them to decide how they're going to make that choice at that moment. Because you brought them to a fork in the road, And at that fork in the road, again, how are they going to choose to react to that trigger? And like, you're
100%.
giving them the opportunity, you're giving them a gift, a blessing, you're giving them the word from the infinite intelligence, from source, from God, for them to elevate their soul. So, you know, and this is your divine gift and mission to people. So I think you should go out and trigger as many motherfuckers as you can.
I love that. I'm going to start triggering people more. And it is a gift. Every time I'm triggered, I'm like, I'm going to gold dig this. This is not to do with what's going on out there. This is something within me, and allowing it to integrate my shadow. Your power's in your shadow, guys, because what you don't own owns you. What you don't own owns you. Carrie, thank you for quoting me on that on your website. I love you. If you ever listen to this podcast, Carrie healed her eye in my course, by the way, and she became a master manifester. Like, she is, anyways, go listen to that episode. Surrendering to Alignment, if you haven't heard it. Also, I love you so much, goddess. I hope you listen to this. But it's so true. Like, triggers are truly gold. And there are so many people who are so in victimhood and they don't realize their own power. And I've been there, guys. I have been there. I was the biggest victim. I'm owning this. I was the biggest victim of my circumstances of life and all the things. And when I started to like take ownership, and when I started to be like, no, I create my own reality, and started to learn these tools and utilize these tools, teach other people to do the same, like, that's when my life really shifted. When I started to become the victor. This is why my retreat is literally all about becoming the victor of your life. You do that through the trauma healing, but you also do that through speaking with your feet and choosing. It's a choice. Even healing is a choice. So many people don't heal from like physical ailments or like illness because they think their identity has been enmeshed in it. And we are so capable of healing the most miraculous things, but we also have to choose to do it. You can have the most powerful healer in the world and still not heal because you are getting something from being sick. You're getting some sort of, or from being poor, you're getting some sort, or being in toxic relationships, you're getting some sort of payoff from that. So start choosing, because when you choose, like, you don't even know how powerful you are. You are so, I have seen tumors be there and disappear. I've seen people heal from cancer, from Lyme's disease, from Crohn's, like crazy things. I've seen people chance just manifest $150,000 and a house, like so many things. When I healed my eye, I have manifestations every single day, but why? Because I choose. As soon as I know and I intend something, I'm ruthless about it. I'm like, I'm becoming a match to that thing. And there is no like, oh, but what if it's like passionately intentional and passionately detached. That's a key. That's a code. So y'all who had been in victim mode, that's not what I love for you. That's not what I see for you. I see you as the powerful human being and soul and spirit that you are, because you truly hold the codes of magic. You hold the codes of the universe, all of them. You're a fragment of it. You're an iteration. The abundance is within you. Like the divinity is within you. The health is within you. You just got to choose, and then choose to become an energetic match. Okay, I love you guys. Transmission of that done. Okay, let's go back to, you were talking about the things and the shifts that happen before the deal closed. And I have a question, like in my experience, when I manifest something, especially something that I'm like, this has been a journey on manifesting it and me becoming the version, all of a sudden it's like when it happens, it's like so cool, but it's kind of like, of course, it's that energy of course it happened. It's not like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened. Like, yes, that energy of excitement, but it's like, of course it happened because you're already a match to it. So it kind of feels like it's a byproduct of who you be, and your nervous system's already calibrated to it. Did you have that experience when you manifested these things?
Yeah. So I'll just go back to one of the previous things there. So right before, so as I'm building this energetic container for this money to come in, and it just kind of felt like for whatever reason it's stuck. It's just stuck. It's in the ethers. It's going to be there. You know the deal. Again, it was the, of course, I know it's coming in. Everything's closing. Everything's coming to it. Everything's just too good for this not to come in. And as that container's being stored, I found that there was some other business partners we had. They ended up falling out right at this time. And I mean, they're great people. And then there was one other, there was an ex-partner of mine that we were still kind of like talking, whatever. She was still there, but kind of not really. And we're kind of in this weird limbo. It's becoming an energetic leak. And what she's doing, what I'm doing aren't really aligned. And before that $150,000 can manifest, those relationships had to be cut. And then now you go into the other side, and then you're like, well, of course I had to cut those things. Like, it was either the choice of $150,000 a month coming in, or having these people in your life, but the two cannot exist. And then now you hit a new level that once you're a match to that. And Jill actually, in one of our lovely conversations, she called me out on it, because I was like, well, this $150,000 came in. Very important how we do this, how we handle it, because maybe I'll lose it all and go restart the cycle. And she's like, yo, I'm going to stop you right there. And she's like, you are now an energetic match to it. You will always be an energetic match to it. And to bring it back into your reality is going to be so much easier. And I was like, that's really interesting. Yeah. And then now that I realize I'm an energetic match to it, I've become more of a savage, because now it's like, well, who's trying to come back in my life that if I choose to bring him in my life, I'm no longer an energetic match to this. So the people that are around me, now I understand why you need to pay for coaching, why you need to pay for access, why you have to sacrifice in order to go into this person's field, because you have to be able to enter their field without throwing what they're a match to currently. You have to make a jump to become a fraction of a match of what they're currently matched to.
100%. Can I add something here?
Just one quick thing. And then one of the biggest things for me was boundaries, and then right after this big jump, you jump into a new reality. The immediate thing you get is tests. And then you have to set your boundaries to protect yourself from past people trying to come in, past messages coming in, and they always come in at the most interesting times. And it's to catch that test to be like, vote with your feet. You either ignore it. Sometimes you have to explicitly state it. Sometimes it's just as simple as a block or an unfollow or whatever, but you got to vote with your feet.
100%. So I have so much to say about this. Firstly, I just want to call you out on something. You said sacrifice. Go back and listen to the module about suffering isn't sacred. We talk about sacrifice. I don't believe in sacrifice, but I do believe in being intentional. Okay. Like you said, coaching and mentorship, that has been one of my most beneficial investments that I've made in my coaches and mentors. And why? Because it forces me. They had certain keys and held codes that I didn't have yet. So they're shortening the timeline, just like I shortened the timeline for my clients. And it's like, once you make those investments, it's like something's at stake. And you realize that the people who are killing it in whatever realm, I've had coaches and mentors for different areas of my life. They are ruthless about their energy. And then that made me be ruthless about my energy in terms of who has access to me, because every single person you even respond to, you message, every single person you interact with, you're having an energetic exchange. So who are you interacting with? Because you are a byproduct of the 5 people who are closest to you, not necessarily local, but in proximity. And by that, I mean, I have mentors and coaches around the world, or I've had mentors and coaches around the world. So So you become those. Like, we even on a scientific level have neural pathways and mirror neurons. So we start to think like they think. And I was telling a client the other day, she was like, somebody was leeching her energy and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and I say this all the time to my clients, I'm like, I am ruthless with my energy. I actually have to be, because when I show up on Voxer, I am at my highest. I will not show up on Voxer for my private clients when my energy is not super potent, like a freaking laser beam, because they're getting the transmission. So I was giving an example of, like, I was at the pool the other day and people try and talk to me all the time. And I used to think, oh, I have to respond and this and that. And it's like, no, because people can leech your energy and siphon your energy. So at the pool the other day, and this person was like asking me some questions. I responded to a few of them. And then eventually I'm like, this person's siphoning my energy. And I just said, I'm not available for this. So I said, I'm actually not available to have this conversation. I don't care if people think I'm like a bitch. I don't care. That's their own, however they're processing data. My energy, my frequency, as all of yours, is the most valuable resource I have. It's way more important than money, because that's also what creates your money, by the way, guys. That's what creates your manifestations. That's what creates everything in your life. Your frequency is your currency. So if I'm allowing everybody to have access to me, guess what? Like, my energy just like completely depletes. I've invested a lot in coaches and mentors, and sometimes it's just because I want to recalibrate. It's not even what they say to me. It's like, I want the codes that they have. So it forces me to become an energetic match, and it makes it easier to like have boundaries, because I'm like, when you start vibrating higher, when you start to hold more codes, you start to feel so different that it's just not worth it to go back down to like the energy that you were a match to, like other things before, like victimhood. That's an energy thing. A lot of people bond by like this victim energy. That's not the vibe in my life anymore. And I never want to go back to that. It's so exhausting. But like, yeah, I loved what you said about that, because every single person we're responding to, we're interacting with, there is an energy exchange, and they're either contributing to your energy or they're taking from your energy, which is why, like in the coaching and mentorship industry, like you're investing, because you're investing in yourself. And like when I'm mentoring somebody or when I'm facilitating trauma healing, like my energy is starting to fill their cup. It's an output of energy, but we can only fill so many people's cups before we're depleted. So what I invite you guys to do, for those of you listening, is like inventory your life. How much are you contributing to other people's energy, and how much are everybody in your life contributing to you? You know, because everything's an energy exchange, whether it's financial, emotional, physical, like all, like, I think this is something we oversee. And even in like, if you have a team, if people on your team are a big energy drain, if their energy is really toxic, that is affecting your whole business. I have a question for you, Chance, in a second, but like, even I let go of somebody on my team a while back, and like so much shifted right after it. They were actually good at their job. They were very quick, but their energy was so dense. And I'm like, I cannot have this person in the vortex. And I've seen businesses where like, they're like $1 million businesses, and they'll let go of like one person and it'll skyrocket to like $5 million a year. Like, this happens all the time, because it's, your business is an energetic container. It's an entity, an energetic entity of itself. It has a vibration, it has a frequency, and it's an extension of you too. So like, also what I see a lot is some people who, I mean, this happens in the healing arts as well a lot, where people don't want to do their own work. And then they're like, why can't I get my business off the ground? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yo, because you have so much dense energy. Your business is an extension of you. So you got to deal with your own stuff. And like, Chance, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, I think there was movement in your team, wasn't there, before this happened?
Yes, there was. Yeah, it was right around surrendering to abundance that me and my previous business partner we just decided he had his idea of how he wanted to scale. So we went and made some money together. And then he had his idea on how to scale, and I had my own idea. And I was like, you know what, this is just not in alignment. But what a great time to leave, and leave him with. So when I left my business partner, it was to leave him with money and to leave him with an opportunity that he can go do what he wanted to do it and how he wanted to do it. And then to also leave myself with some money and myself the opportunity to go do it how I want to do it. And so, and I've been blessed for that, for doing that with my next business partner, because he was watching very carefully on how I exited this partnership. And he also and he's exited some partnerships, and me and him are very aligned on how you do it. It's like, you know, if you're going to get into business with people, I believe, you know, get into business with people. If you make some money, you lose some money. But I think the best thing to do is to try and leave them with some money in their pocket if you're planning to exit, you know. And
100%.
And even to this day, I chatted with him, good dude, just fell out of alignment. But he was like, you know what, man, I was really grateful on the way you handled things on the way out. And I was like, absolutely, man. You know, I don't hate you. It's just not aligned, you know?
Exactly. And it's like doing it from love. Like that is like such a potent, powerful way to do it. It's just like, it's not aligned, and you can leave amicably, like even friendships that aren't aligned. I'm going to be honest. A lot came to light, like even the last few weeks, and I just distance from a lot of people, and it kind of happened naturally. But it's not good or bad. I still love them. It's just not in alignment. It's not in alignment with where I'm going with my mission. And so like, it's like weights that you're kind of like cutting down, because naturally we are so abundant. We're so powerful. We're powerful manifestors. And when you clear the traumas, when you cut the dead weights, it's like you just start to fly like a hot air balloon, right? And there was something else really important that I wanted to touch on here. Yeah, like when things aren't aligned, you know, you can feel it. And the more of this type of work that you do, the more access you have to your intuition. But I'll give you an example that happened this morning. So some of my friends and I play psychic games, and we'll like think of a number and we'll send it to each other. And so I was talking to one friend, and my other friend who had just messaged was thinking of a number, and I guessed the number that she sent, like telepathically. And it was 13, and 13 hit me. But then my mind started being like, maybe it's 7, maybe it's this. And I just said 13. And it was bang on. But then my mind started like justifying and all of these things. And this happened yesterday. We were playing the number game yesterday too. I'm super cool. I know. This is what I do in my free time. So my friends. But it was the same thing. It was like I would get the hit, and then I would say it. It happened like twice where I said the number, and then I second guessed and I said another number, and it was the first number. Like that's our intuition. When something's off, when something's not in alignment, it's not that you're like leaving that other person, because what's best for you is best for all. They have a lesson in certain things too. And like, I'm going to give one more example here, and then I have another question for Chance. But it's like these things, when we follow these intuitions and when we have access to it through this work, when we've cleared a lot of the stuff and the distortions and like the belief patterns that aren't serving us, then it's like we'll just be guided to our intentions like that. But we have to trust the intuition. And a lot of the time it doesn't make sense, because we've been so programmed to use like our prefrontal cortex instead of trust our intuition, trust our body. Our body is our unconscious mind, and the body always knows. Where it gets foggy is if there's lots of trauma, which is why the clearings are so important, like the shamanic breath work and the activations, because the more of that you've cleared, the more access you have to source, divine universe, to your intuition, and the body will just guide you.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to announce that my signature program, Decoding Manifestation, is now open. If you've been inspired by the stories on here from that program, and have the intention to create your dream life by leveraging the quantum, this is the most powerful manifestation course on the market, because I not only teach the exact blueprint that I've used to help hundreds of people manifest miracles, but I also give you the tools, the quantum activations, the shamanic breath work, and the RRT clearings, so that your frequency raises and your manifestations become a byproduct of who you be. So you're not in that chasing energy, but by who you be, they literally become a byproduct. It is a full toolbox to understand manifestation, the formula, and to actually become the embodied energetic match to your desires instead of just understanding how it works in theory. The doors close for this round on October 31st. So if you are interested in joining this program that is like no other on the market, ask anyone who's taken my course. I will see you inside of Decoding Manifestation. The link is in the show notes, and I'll see you there, beautiful soul.
There's been so many times, actually, I'm going to use an example. So I had a client tell me once, like, this relationship's not aligned, but like, I don't want to leave because like, I don't want them to be sad or whatever, like enmeshment, taking responsibility for their emotions. And it's like, when situations like this happen and your intuition is like, this isn't aligned, like trust that. Because also when we hold on to like people, whether it's a partner or it's a friend or whatever, and we know it's not aligned in our intuition, we're doing a disservice to them as well. We're taking up somebody else's spot. And often in situations like this, I don't know why this is coming through in the middle of this conversation, but somebody needs to hear this. When situations like this happen, it's actually us being afraid of the feeling of that is going to arise within ourselves when we tell that person. So many times people get stuck in like relationships or business partnerships or friendships or whatever that aren't fully aligned, and we know it, but it's not good for us and it's not good for them. The moment we just say this isn't working and we let them free, we're freeing them too. Like you did with that business partner, you freed him for whatever's aligned for him, so that you could both skyrocket in whatever way, right? So yeah, I just wanted to bring that to light, because truly, like, there's been times where I've been afraid to like tell people things. And then, I mean, an example, a few weeks ago, I'm going to a meditation retreat, and like, I kept getting an intuition of like wanting to room with women. And I didn't want to tell my roommate. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm just going to tell him. And it all worked out, because like now I'm rooming with some of my friends and it's like divinely aligned. But he was seeing somebody and he was like, I literally didn't know how I was going to have a conversation with this woman of like me rooming with another woman for 2 weeks. And he's like, I was thinking of that last night. So it was best for both of us. And this happens all the time when we truly trust the intuition. And now I get a room with some of my clients who I'm so excited to meet in person, because most of them live like across the world. If you're listening to this, guys, I love you. Yeah, but like, what's best for you is best for all. Chance, why don't you share a little bit more about what you do with real estate, where people can find you, how you can help them as your business is expanding? Chance is like a very like integrous, like he is the real deal. I will say that he's the real deal, and I don't bullshit. So like, if you are looking to get into real estate or Airbnbs, hit him up. We'll link his info in the show notes. If you're listening on the podcast, I'll link it on Facebook. If you're listening there, if you're listening on Instagram, he's going to be a collaborator on this, so you can find him there.
All right. And one more nugget to add to you. So one of the things of where we're at and where our team, and this is going to come into on like finding me, working with us, is, and also part of that integrity Jill just mentioned on, is now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, you're afraid to say the thing to your friend. You're afraid to cut that relationship off. You're afraid to do what you know you need to do. Your currency will move as fast as you can attack those things in your life. So those things can no longer exist. Or you need to attack things to make them happen. So you are now on a match to those things.
Yeah.
And the faster you attack, and this is the micro moments. You know, Jill called me out when I said sacrifice. I called Jill out when she said this other thing. And it's like, she cannot be a match to the word sacrifice. I cannot be a match to the one thing she said. But because we're attacking each other in an upward spiral, the most important thing is an upward spiral, we can then exist and spiral together. And soon you will notice that when you trigger people, you know, because I'm going to attack you, I'm going to trigger you, I'm going to tell you what's up. And in that moment, are you going to spiral up with me, or are you going to spiral downward? I've given you a fork in the road on what you're going to do. And so anyways, with our team in real estate, so operating a couple businesses, we're based in Florida. We have the Airbnbs. We have a couple Airbnbs in the Fort Lauderdale area. And so we're doing those. So we offer anywhere from, if people want to get involved, and we have investment partners that will invest in Airbnb, to people that want to call and learn the sales process. If you're young, you want to learn the entrepreneurial life, we have a wholesaling side that's basically kind of the more the flipping side of the business, finding off-market properties and then getting those to investors and other buyers. So we do that as well. And then the other thing is, we're now putting ourselves in a position where we're going to be managing other people's Airbnbs. And we just like Jill spending a lot of money on courses. Me and my business partner, Nemo, we've spent a combined over $200,000 on coaching. Like just this month alone, our team has put out over $50,000 in coaching to make this. So it's like, if you want to be the best, learn from the best, train with the best. And I extend an open arm to the website that we currently have branding is through my business partner, Real Estate Nemo. I believe there is a link to have a meeting with me. You got to book a meeting with me to fit it in my schedule. We can have a chat on how you can either work with us, invest with us, any kind of opportunity like that. I'm open to all sorts of to ideas that you guys may have. And awesome. then I will share my information with you, Jill, and anyone can reach out to us or our team and see what we're up to. Who knows, maybe you'll come join us in Columbia and start training sales guys, or build that sales team out.
I love that.
So that's our next big thing, right? So in Medellin is one of the ideas that we're thinking about, which was just kind of randomly, me and Jill were chatting right before this. And so we're going to be shipping a few of our guys out there. Nemo's he's really going to be pushing on this side. I'm going to be grounded here in Canada with my son. And then I'm going to take him out there eventually and get him doing sales calls. He wants to own a Bugatti one day. So in order for him to own a Bugatti, it's like, you ain't going to do that in high school. You're not going to do that in college, but you'll do it working for the old man.
Yes. I love that. And I love what you said about coaching and mentorship, like, and trainings. Like, you got to learn from the best. Whether it's like a skill that you're learning, or like how to do something, whether it doesn't matter if it's in real estate or business or the like healing arts, like, learn from the best. I know some people who just like wanted to shortcut, but we'll take the healing arts, for example. And they like just learn from like random people. And they're like, oh, this is like, every single time they made those investments, they were like, I should have just listened to you. But they didn't, because the people I told them to study with for certain things, they were a big investment. And like, we'll take my shamanic breath work. Why did it start to take off? Because I studied with the best and I honed my skills, and I still do this in all of the healing arts, like in RRT and Reiki and quantum integration, like NLP. Like, you have to study with the best if you want to like truly be at the top. Like, why would you study? Anyways, whatever. We'll just leave it there. And there's one more thing I want to say on this. I'm going to contact you eventually about doing real estate here. But there was another key that I really wanted to bring to light. Hang on, it's going to come back. Oh, these micro moments. The micro moments are everything. We talk about this in Surrendering into Abundance, and I talk about this in Decoding Manifestation that we're just about to relaunch. It's like the micro moments, it is these small choices. It's like speaking with your feet. It's these small choices that are the biggest recalibrations. And I think people miss that. They don't realize that you shift like one thing, you make one choice that's more in alignment, and then more in alignment, and then more in alignment. I mean, even when we did the video about my eye, and how I shifted my belief pattern in that, it was a small shift and a small shift and a small shift, and they add up and they compound. And it's like these micro moments are everything. They're everything. And then you spoke to calling people out. There was something I wanted to say about that. I don't remember, but I want to offer this to people. Like, the people around you, like, surround yourself with people who have your best interest in mind. And sometimes that means them calling you out on your shit. Sometimes it means that from a place of love, but that's going to allow you to up level. And, oh, I remember the trigger thing. So I mean, I hope this is okay. But like, when you met me,
of course it is, Jill.
Pardon me?
I was like, you're like, I hope this is okay. I was like, of course it is.
Okay. I triggered Chance a lot. Do you want to speak to that? Because we talked about this a little bit ago. It was like
the first day I met you.
Yeah, when I was wearing my kimono, and why you think I triggered you. But
so the first day I met Jill was at just like a friendly barbecue. And anyways, I saw her, she's talking all sorts of stuff, and it's funny. Jill loves this, by the way. I didn't really care for Jill when I first met her. I was like, Jill's cool. You know, I can tolerate Jill. I don't know if Jill's really my people or whatever. I'm a polite person. I'm not going to go out of my way. But anyways, and it was really interesting because I kind of had this, and this here's another physical manifestation. So I was kind of thinking this in my mind as I was meeting Jill and judging Jill for the first impression. And so everyone's kind of like shaking hands, you know, giving hugs or whatever. And as I went to say goodbye to Jill for the very first time, as I lifted up my hand, I actually accidentally smacked Jill in the face. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not good. I was like, well, that really solidifies it. You know, that's really it. But then as I got to know her and learn more about what she was about, and what I ended up realizing was there was going to be a lot of transformation and a lot of healing coming from this relationship that I really didn't understand at that time. And so there was that initial resistance because the demons in me wanted nothing to do with Jill. Nothing.
Yeah. And and that's such an important thing for people to hear, because these, like, whether it's like entities or just like deeper traumas or whatever, the other realms, the 3D realm, like, things will keep you from what is going to be such a catalyst for your growth. And I remember you didn't like me and all the things, and when you hit me in the face, and you know, it's like, but the soul part of you was like, there's something here. And I remember when you came to you still haven't done my in-person shamanic breathwork. I'm very excited about the day that happens. But like, even online ones, like the first time you came, and then you were like, holy shit. And you really went for it. And you're like, and then you took my course and you did it a number of times in that, and like the healings, and you stuck with it despite like the stuff, you're like this heartbreak. And it was like your heart had to, you had to heal things within your heart. And so you stuck with it. And that's such a key, that choice of, you know what, everything in me wants to run from this, but I know there's something here. And I know, like, I mean, I'm sure I trigger a lot of people. Like, the work I do is deep, and our unconscious, it's scary to the unconscious because because it knows that, oh, I have to face myself in this process. But like, just look at the other end. Look at what you're creating in the world now, and like how much you're helping people like build their dreams, whether it's your team or your clients, and like in the process building your own, like without, I'm not saying without me, but without doing this deeper healing work, which I feel blessed that I had the privilege to facilitate, like none of that would have been possible. But through that, you became the iteration of like the life you've built now, and then the life you're going to continue to build. And from here, just compounds, because you've done so much of the deep work, and now it just gets to be fun and expansion. So I think that was such an important key for people to realize, like sometimes the people who are meant to help us on our journey, or in whatever way, whether they're just triggering us and it's bringing up a trauma, and they're not necessarily like a healer or a facilitator or a mentor or a guide or somebody we're going to work with as a coach, or take a course from. Sometimes it's just like the people who trigger us. That is a gift. Every time you're triggered, it's a gift, and it's uncomfortable. I mean, I saw when I helped facilitate a couple weekends ago, somebody got super triggered, and like I could see it wasn't, I won't explain, like it wasn't me who triggered them actually this time, but they got triggered, and I could see, I'm like, whoa, if they actually acknowledge that and work through it, then like massive growth. And unfortunately, they ended up leaving this event, and I'm like, dang, well, I hope they got like the healing. And it was just like very, very, very interesting. Whereas like everybody else there, their whole life shifted. They were like different people on the other end, and the messages like they received after, and the blessings actually one of the Medellins, we were talking about Colombia earlier, the person who hosted that is building a healing center there, or like a retreat center. So maybe your team will end up coming there when they're down.
Yeah, why not? I'll bring the whole team to get triggered by Jill. Why not?
Yes.
And you talk a lot about triggers, Jill. Have you ever heard of glimmers?
Glimpse?
Glimmer.
No, what's that?
So the other day I was talking to one of my friends, and she sent me a post, and it was, everybody always talks about triggers, but you should look for the glimmers in life. And a glimmer is the opposite of a trigger. So when you're on your upward spiral, you see the glimmers of hope. And I was like, wow, what an amazing thing to think of, and what an amazing little twist, you know? Because I mean, really, after so many triggers, because like now I'm thinking, okay, I got to become a match to 250,000 a month, $500,000 a month. Now I'm thinking, okay, what triggers do I got to go through? What people do I need to add to my life? Who might get deleted from my life? And actually, one of the things that's come now is like, how do I replicate me and get my team operating similar to how I'm operating in order to hit that? How do I get them out of their situations? How do I get them to quit their jobs and come work with me full time? How do I, how do I do that?
Yeah. And may I offer, you don't have to, you have an opportunity to. Remember the need. We talked about this before the podcast. Need means death to the unconscious mind. It puts us in fight and flight. And I was sharing with Chance before we started streaming that need, like when I used to think I was a bad writer, and like writing copy or like email funnels or whatever, I'm like, I need to do this, and it would take me like a week and a half to do like one email, and it would feel like I was going to die. But when I shifted it to, I have an opportunity to, it got rid of all of the anxiety, and all of a sudden I'm writing like 16 emails in one sitting. I'm like, what did I just do? Like, but it's because our unconscious mind is so powerful. That's also how we manifest. So if we shift it from obligation energy to an opportunity, we don't have to do anything. It allows so many more, like for so much more creativity. So like, that's what I see for you and invite for you is like, you have an opportunity to become $200,000 a match to $200,000 months, and then an opportunity to become a match for $500,000 months, and it just becomes a game. That's my offering for you. Did I just trigger you?
No. I went into a moment. I was just like, yeah, absolutely.
Oh God. Okay.
And that's one thing. That's one of, and it's funny because before we started talking, I was chatting with Jill, and I was like, if we say anything, let's call each other out on our language, so we keep that going. And that's one of the things that I'm still working on, is I have to do this, when really it's like, no, I get the opportunity. I get to do this. That's still one of the micro moments that I'm going to have to shift in order to manifest and get through to the next level. And right now it's just unconscious. Sometimes you just drop these unconscious things. And I encourage 100%. My entire team to also do this to me too, and call me out on it. Because if I can call them out, I want them to call me out too.
Exactly. And then that's the community, the energy vortex that you're building. And like, the thing that's super cool about this, we didn't mention this, we chatted briefly this morning about it, but is that like, you can code other people. Like, I just posted some videos, or a video of Sarah, and there's a couple more unsolicited testimonials coming. Sarah Toll, I freaking love you, woman. And I love seeing you shine. So excited to see you again at the retreat, if not before. I don't know when I'm coming back to Canada, but I'll be back. By the way, guys, I have a retreat. It's on early bird right now, May 2nd to 5th. It's on just off of Vancouver. You can take the ferry there. Anyway, so we have people coming from all over. I'm so excited. Even from freaking London and like Connecticut. Like what? Okay, so so blessed. So she started coding like her boyfriend and her roommate to like start manifesting, because she was around them. And as she shifted and held these codes, like things started shifting for them, which is super cool. Because as we shift, everyone around us shifts. And those who stay in the vortex and continue to grow with us, they by default absorb our coding, because they're absorbing our frequency. There's an energetic exchange. So it's like Chance now having these codes and these understandings, like by default, he's coding his team to think this way, to be an energetic match. And then it creates this like huge vortex of like co-creation. And it's just like expansion, which is why it's so key to have like people around you who are committed to this work, because then it's like unstoppable. Two vortexes together that are very powerful and understand this type of work become infinite and like exponential. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's 1 + 1 = infinity. And so I'll leave you guys with that. Do you have anything else to add to finish this off?
I guess one other thing I forgot to mention is, so my junior partner, Noel, he's on the team. Yeah. Good old Noel.
Oh, whoa. He is a wise soul for his age.
He is a wise soul, and kid's 20 years old. He's killing it. He's also leading a team. So if there's any young kids that, part-time, whatever, you want to get involved in real estate, you want to go find a deal, I can connect you with Noel, and Noel will bring you through a program that he has and is running. And what he can do is, everyone's using Facebook, so why not use Facebook to find real estate deals? Yeah. And Noel will pay you a 10% cut when we close on that deal. So I mean, some of these deals, like like last month we had one deal that was worth like $90,000. So imagine getting 10% on that.
Yeah. Right? Amazing. And like, guys, I met Noel as well. This kid's like 20 years old. He came to my shamanic breath work. Like, so he is an ancient soul, like so wise, so grounded, so kind. I remember saying to you, I'm like, this kid's going to go so far in life. Please say hi for me.
I will tell Noel hi.
I send him all the blessings. Yeah, his mom's super cool too. I met with her briefly as well. Okay, cool. Do you have any, is Noel on? Oh, it's a different Noel, I think. Okay. Anyways, there's another Noel. Hello.
He better not be. He better be working right now.
Racking the whip. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Any last final things to share?
If you're thinking about taking the course, take Jill's course. I'm already lining up her decoding course. And if you take any course, any training or whatnot, go through it all the way. Like, don't half-ass it. Go through it all the way. Let these courses hurt. Like, even, and it's really cool because after I took Jill's course, I started really noticing my real estate mentors, other real estate courses that I've been taking. And so many of my mentors talk about the energetic side of it and the manifesting side of it, and where they are to be a match, for what they're doing, which is super cool. So it's like, yeah, I get these real estate courses that they give you the I's, or dot your I's and cross your T's and the ABCs on how to do this stuff. But a lot of it is mindset. And I didn't realize, like, a lot of mindset, like, here's an example. Here's like one of the things you need to attack in your life. A lot of people will be like, well, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be whatever. And it's like, the universe never hears the I don't. God never hears you say I don't. He only hears the thing you say. So if you say fat, if you say broke, if you say poverty, that's all he ever hears. So and it's funny because I've gone from, like, how am I going to pay my bills? I need money, to now we have so much money. It's like, we need to spend money. Like, we have to spend this. We have to, I get to spend this. I get the opportunity to go spend this, and we go spend it on coaching. We go spend it on expansion. And Jill was talking about expansion. And one of the cool things is, one of the things that was really embedded in my mind for a long time was, is this decision a contracting decision, or is this a decision to expand and to live in constant expansion? And it's like, what can I do to expand? Is what I said, is it contraction? Is what I said expansion?
Yeah, because you can't be in both at the same moment in time. And expansion is the frequency of abundance, and contraction is the frequency of scarcity. So it's like, when we make decisions like that, it just starts to amplify, and it's like we're stacking our frequency and our abundance, and just life just gets better and better and better. There's one thing I want to say, and my phone is going to die soon, so I want to make sure we have this recording. But I'm so excited for you to take Decoding Manifestation, because Surrendering into Abundance has a few activations. It has a few, and then it has the breath work, and it has a bunch of other things like specific to abundance. But Decoding Manifestation is like that on steroids. It's literally everything you need to know to manifest. If you go through the course and you do the activations, it has 9 activations, and we'll be adding more with the live calls, and then like another shamanic breath work. And they just, like, as I hone my skills, they just keep getting more powerful, because I keep getting more powerful as you keep getting more powerful. And then it creates a vortex. And one thing I want to comment on what Chance said was, like, he mentioned, he went over the course numerous times. There's a lot of courses out there, guys, that give you access for a limited time. I specifically didn't do that because I want you to be able to go back. All my courses are lifetime access, meaning when you purchase it at whatever price point you purchase it at, you get everything for life, including the live calls. So I just relaunched, I mean, it was a little bit ago, Surrendering into Abundance. So more people came in, but like, you had taken the first round at that price point, and I added a bunch of stuff, which is why the price went up, because I added a bunch of stuff. So like, you got all those extra calls, and like, you showed up to all of them. You were one of the only people that showed up to every single one. Amazing. That's devotion. But like, that's such a main reason that I wanted people, because there's so many layers to these things. And sometimes I'll say something, or you'll get a transmission. By the way, the activations recode your unconscious mind, which the unconscious mind can't read negation, which is what you just said. The body can't read negation. So like you said, if you're like, I am not fat, or I am not poor, it's like, all it's hearing is poor, fat, like whatever. And you got to rewire that stuff on an unconscious, visceral level, which is literally what the activations do from the quantum and unconscious reprogramming. but yeah, I'm so excited to see like what shifts happen in your life and your business after decoding manifestation, because like, I mean, what you manifest with surrendering into abundance is incredible. And this other one's like it on steroids. Like there's so many intricacies in there that it like, oh, I'm just so excited. And that's
well,
it.
I mean, in surrendering in abundance, my next manifestation was $1 million in a month.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'll be back here in a few months.
100%. So excited to celebrate that. I mean, I know people, I study with a girl who just had $1 million month. And one of my trauma healing modalities, I'm not a month, she had $1 million day. I mean, like all of this is possible. We are so powerful. And if we do this work is the key, unless you want to like hustle in 3D and like, I mean, you're capped. If you just work in the 3D realm, you're capped, because you can only manifest up to what you're matched to. When you start to tap into the other dimensions and do the trauma healing, and understand the bridge, which I go over, by the way, I go over the science and spirituality, how they bridge. They're not contradictory, they're complementary in decoding manifestation. By the way, again, I'll mention this. If you're not registered for my free masterclass on September 13th, I'm giving away prizes. I forgot to tell you guys that. Please come. It's free. And we're doing activation. So like anybody who's been complaining that they can't afford stuff, again, get rid of that story if you want to change your reality, but come, because it's free and it's going to be super powerful. I think we have 55 people signed up already from all over, and it's going to be amazing. So come. I don't do free masterclasses very often. And also there's going to be some prizes given away and some gifts. Okay. Anything else? We have like 1 minute because my phone's at 5% and I do not want to lose this recording.
No, we're all good, Jill.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Chance, for joining. Thank you for everybody who came live. I'm going to exit these live on Facebook and Instagram.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with anyone and everyone that you think would benefit from it. Share it on your social media and tag me at Jill Alanna Nixon so I can hear what breakthroughs and insights you got. If you really enjoyed this, I would really appreciate if you wrote a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. If you do this and you email my team, JillAlannaNixon@gmail.com, we'll link it in the show notes, I will send you a cord-cutting transmission that is only available through this avenue, so that you can clear out people, places, habits, or situations that are no longer in alignment with your highest good and call back your power. Thank you so much and have the most beautiful, blessed day.